going back to the scripts there, I think this is like a still, and this goes back to your scripts that you did with Mike, and Brian, you did there with Mike, and Judy was awesome. She actually she wrote all that down and printed it all out for everybody there. So that was cool. But because you go right into your why. Your first call is your first question is you go right into the why when talking to them. And I still feel like I have that as a block. Like, I don't know if it's too personal. So sometimes I've been starting out, okay, what you were hoping to get if you did sell. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys had any intuition or anything of like trying to get myself to go into the why, because I was going to actually use that script and go line by line with that today. I don't know. I'm just trying to get the mindset piece wrapped around. Or
so Brian, sorry, let me ask a question so we can clarify. So your sort of block is the just asking why they're selling?
Yeah, almost like I'm diving right into their personal. And I think maybe because I've gotten pushback before on that. So I've been kind of hesitant and kind of trying to like beat around the bush a little bit before I dive into the why, instead of like Brian just seems really smooth. Just, oh, hey, so why are you selling? Just right into it. So I don't know. That's just the mindset piece I'm trying to overcome.
Brian will have an answer because he mastered the script on stage. Here's a thought, and then see what you guys think of this. What if, perhaps, maybe you said something like, are you moving for, in other words, plant a seed. Are you moving for a job relocation, or plant a seed? So it's a question versus maybe getting you a little bit a bridge to your question. Is this making sense, you guys? So it's almost like when someone says, if I hear you guys on a script say about the price, right? Brian will say, do you think that'll appraise? I love that. When I was brand new and I was afraid to ask, I would say, like, how'd you go with the price? Was it realtor? Was it appraisal? Like, I gave them the answers. So it was like I was asking. So I don't know. Those are two thoughts for you guys. What are your thoughts, Brian? Because you guys mastered that on stage.
Yeah, I'm still against the multiple choice questions just because it makes them more stuck. Like, that causes you more anxiety if they say neither or no. So that's clearly it's a block for you. It's a mindset thing. So it's something you want to rehearse and script. You want to rehearse and script out, right? Not every call is going to go that way. It's just not. However, I would be of the mentality that you want them to object. Like, you want them to like embrace the objection, right? Whenever I hear objections now, I'm ready for it. I'm always ready for it. So if I go into a call and ask them, why are you selling? And, they come back to me, well, that's none of your business. Why are you asking that question? There's a multitude of things that I can say to calm them down, right? It's like, hey, I'm just curious as to why you're selling. Most people have a reason, right? Most people have a reason, and everybody does. Like, I'm not trying to pry into your personal life. I'm just curious. But you want that. You definitely want them to come at you, not be rude, but again, it's not going to go like me and Mike went on stage. This is very rare that happens. But if you can stick within that lane and that framework, then you have less. I was listening to a call. I mean, she knows I critiqued it on Slack. I listened to a call of Judy's yesterday, and she would do a great job of the framework of asking the why, where, when. But where she got hung up is when the seller just kept telling her no, right? And I said, you got to get off the call. Like, the call's over. The guy doesn't want to sell the house. And she just kept going and kept going and kept going. And you got to protect your time. So there's a reason that we do the why, where, when, is because you need to recognize early in the call where they're at on the motivation scale, right? You're looking for people who are like 7, 8s, and 9s and 10s, not 2s. Can't help them. You're not going to convince them to do anything.
Sounds like she had good practice that day trying to.
It was a great call. It was a great call. The guy just wasn't going to sell. I wrote down, I'm like, you give him $1 million cash and he still wouldn't move.
Right. So Kyle, thanks, Brian. It's awesome. And I don't disagree at all with the multiple choice. I agree with you. Kyle, so if you play with both ideas and then you record those, even if Brian and or I or Steve listened to the very beginning and helped you with just that, you could even say, hey guys, hone in on this for my first 2 minutes, a minute. Let's nail it. That's how you're going to get it better, right? And then you're also going to, it's like when someone does their first deal, right, Brian? It's almost like he's going to get a few of those calls that go just totally normal, because you will, Kyle, you're good enough for that. And then you'll be like, oh, I got it. Like, you'll get past that.
Okay. And then I had another question. So, right, obviously you encourage us to go out there and talk to people. And I've been talking to people, but some of the people like in my passing are like friends that are renting. and they're renting from people who have homes free and clear. So I always bring up the conversation like, hey, you ever thought about buying the home on owner financing, or working with your landlord in some way, just as a casual conversation. Then we start talking about creative financing, and then next thing you know, they're like, well, is that something that you can help me with? And I never tell them no, but it's
Sorry,
like I
guys,
haven't,
up trailer. Keep going.
yeah, I haven't got, I didn't go out and find the seller. It's like the buyer and the seller are already together. So, if anything, I thought of it as like maybe an AO type of situation to facilitate the process, but I don't know, it's kind of different out of like our normal track. But I didn't want to turn people away too, in conversation. So
Sure.
if I would be an offer there or something.
All right, multitude of ways you can handle that because it does come up. I wouldn't be looking to try to inject yourself into like a deal, right? Just go with the service mindset. Like, how can you help this particular person? Okay. Maybe give them some guidance, and that'll come back to you at some point. You could also get them on your buyers list. Number one, like, hey, because the seller may not be open to it. Seller may not want to do it. Again, you got to get everybody on board, right? Very difficult to pull off. So you got somebody added to your buyer list potentially if they want to buy. The seller is someone that you could potentially speak to, but again, I wouldn't try to inject yourself into trying to turn it into a profitable situation. That's my knee jerk there. The other thing you could do if they're interested in learning about it or something they want to do is, that's a potential referral for the community. And I'll let Chris answer on how, that could work out for you. But anyways, that's how I would handle it, because it has come up before, is you just kind of give them some guidance and maybe help facilitate it. But you being there serves no purpose in terms of being in between the seller. Like, they already live in the house.
Correct. Yeah, and I didn't know if it was more on like getting the contracts done, getting things signed.
Yeah, I would just be super careful with that, because again, now that marriage already exists. You're just, you can just say, hey, make sure you get this thing done right. You don't have to give me your agreements, right? Make sure you get this thing done right with attorneys and all that stuff. Like, just give them some basic parameters. I wouldn't be trying to get an agreement signed. That's at least my thought. Chris might have a different opinion. When he comes back, we can re-ask the question. And
they can work on the agreements through their attorney and their terms and whatever they want. It's just kind of planting the seed. Here's how basic way it could go, and reach out to attorney or refer them to attorney or something, and let them kind of be a friend and be there and support.
That's it. Just serve, and then, who knows what comes around. Maybe the buyer, send you some other buyers, and they know sellers that because they might know the people who are renting, whatever. I mean, it just all kind of circles back. And then same with the seller. Maybe the seller has a different house, or maybe they, again, landlords know other landlords. So just but you just got to be careful how you navigate that situation. Like, just plant the seed. Like, hey, have you thought about this? And sometimes they don't, this brings up a point too, is a lot of you, and I've made the mistake too. Anytime you talk to somebody who's a quote unquote investor or has the rental property, you automatically assume they know about all this stuff, and they don't. So don't ever assume. Don't ever escalate an investor to the level that we are at with creative financing. People don't know about this stuff. Don't ever assume that they know. I listened to a call with John Clark 2 days ago, and the guy had 8 rental properties, never heard of terms. But John assumed, well, you probably know or all about this. He's like, no, what's that? Happens. Don't assume a realtor. Don't assume anybody knows what you're talking about. I know I'm going off track there, but so I hope that answers your question, Kyle.
That's perfect.
Cool. Okay. Who else? What else?
I could go next.
Sure, John.
I had an appointment just before QLS, and it was with a seller that I had talked to, I don't know, two or three times. He wanted me to come down and take a look at the property. So I did, and in the kitchen, I drew out on a piece of paper, as Chris does, an AO and a lease purchase. And he was very inquisitive, had a lot of questions. I think I answered all his questions pretty well. We walked out of the house, and he seemed pretty I don't know, pretty motivated. His final question was, all right, so do you send me anything else? And that's where I was at a loss. I said, oh, well, I mean, if you've got any more questions, I can certainly answer them. And you haven't given me your email yet, so I'll have to get that from you first. He said, okay, well, I can text that over. I'm kind of in a hurry. I got to get to my next appointment.
Yeah.
As okay, so then we said our goodbyes. He said that he would contact me. I ended up having to contact him for his email, and said, listen, if you've got any other questions, you need any more information, I can send that over to you. Now,
Yep.
what was that the right thing to do? Should I be sending him or following up in any particular fashion from here on out? I don't want to, I didn't want to bug the guy or, come across too hard on him.
Okay. What's his, yes, I have an answer for you. What's his situation? Why is he selling the house?
He was renting it. He had a problem with the tenants. They left a bunch of garbage and stuff like that. Some of the garbage was actually there as we were looking at it. He seemed a little bit embarrassed about it. I was like, no, that's nothing. Don't worry about it. But
Yep.
so he just basically doesn't want to be a landlord anymore.
Okay.
He's not in a super. It didn't seem like in a super hurry though, even though the house is vacant now. So
Right. Free and clear lease, mortgage.
mortgage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's big motivation. Like I want out of the landlord business. Like I hear that, man, my ears perk up every time. So, and I focus all of my conversations with sellers around that when they say, hey, I don't want to be a landlord anymore. All right, well, I can help you get out of that. All right. You'll never have to worry about that again. So if you're in his kitchen or whatever, going through the writing out the AO and writing out the lease purchase, if you're like talking numbers, I mean, that's like an offer, right? Or maybe you're just giving examples or whatever. I don't know how you went about that, but how you leave it is, the next step is this, Mr. Seller. Okay. Decide which option works best for you. I can send these to you in writing, the options, but the next step is for you to pick. And then I send you an agreement. We sign it and when we get the property on the market, like I tell them right at the appointment, this is what we're doing. Okay. I just give them the next steps versus just leaving it kind of hanging out there, like give definitiveness to the next move.
Okay. All right. I actually, the numbers that I was using in the kitchen were pretty much right where he wanted to be for his price. And of course, like I say, I pretty much went verbatim of how Chris draws it out. So
yeah, so you just write it up and you tell them, hey, which one which option works best for you? Both are going to get you out of the landlord business. Which one do you want to go with? That's it. Hey, do you have any questions? Like, which one do you want to go with? Let him pick, and then you go to agreement, lease purchase or AO. And then if he wants to be out of the landlord business, I would like push towards the lease purchase, because then he doesn't have to deal with anything ever. But you want to paint the picture that both options remove him from the renter status that he was accustomed to and doesn't want to be involved with anymore.
Right. Okay. So now it's like almost 10 days since that appointment. Do you think it's appropriate to follow up with him, try to contact him and see where he's at?
1,000,000%. Yes. You should have been on all over him
already
after the appointment. Oh yeah. Yeah. He may tell you he's not in a hurry, but eventually, the first of the month is coming. He's got to make his mortgage payment. He's got to cover the expenses. So he's not selling it, right? Is he on the market?
No, he's off the market right now.
All right. So let's get this thing out of your hair.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll get a hold of him today.
And if you need, assistance with talking, just let me know. I'm happy to speak with him for you or with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, just always the takeaway from that is when you leave an appointment, always have a definitive next step. Not like, hey, I'll see you later. We'll talk, in a couple of weeks or whatever. It's like, this is what's going to happen next.
Okay.
This is what I'm going to do next. This is the next step.
Okay.
So they know what's coming, and then do it, right? Because again, you're building trust along the way. Hey, I'm going to send you this in writing. I'm going to send it to you by this day, and then do it, and then follow up.
Okay. All right.
Doesn't mean they're going to move, but just, you got to do that.
Cool. Thank you.